Hey everybody, welcome to this Druber Plays discussion. I am Druber Plays, and this is so exciting to be back with this format of streaming. This is kind of still of a new venture for me. Not totally used to doing these discussion type based live streams, but there's been a need to talk about what is going on in the gaming world, and it's just there's so many things we could get into, and this being a very interesting year in gaming, I thought, why not? Last episode I had my friend Nintendo Hero on, and we kind of broke down and went rampant with our theories on the story implications for the sequel to the Breath of the Wild, and we had a lot of fun with that. But I wanted to do something a little different this time and get into not one topic, but many topics. And we thought about doing the Nintendo lineup. Now, it's not the entire lineup. This doesn't cover every release, especially announced in E3 and different announcements past. This is just standout games that I wanted to talk about with some of my friends. So with that said, I wanted to introduce them. I have Nintendo Hero is joining us again, but new this time is my friend Xander, and I'm going to bring them into the stream.
Hello,
hey guys. Welcome to
here.
Druber Plays Discussion. I am so excited you guys are here.
It's going to be a good
one. So pumped. So yes, welcome guys. This has been something that we've kind of been talking about doing for a while, and I'm so glad to finally get you guys on the channel and just kind of talk about the stuff that we would be talking about off camera anyway. Real quickly before we get into the discussion, I just wanted to say for anyone who's watching live or maybe after the fact, if you're watching this on replay, that first of all, Nintendo Hero, who's in the last episode of Druber Plays Discussion, you can find his channel linked in the description. He does great videos, kind of breaking down his thoughts. And basically what I love most about his content is that he really shows his passion for gaming. And we're going to see some of that tonight, I have a feeling. And Xander as well produces content for Nintendo World Report, NWR, and you can find a lot of his content linked in the description as well. He's done stuff for Paper Mario and currently Mario Maker 2, so definitely check that out. Guys, I'm so glad to have you guys on.
Yeah, this will be a good discussion. That's the thing. We've been talking about this a lot off camera, so we might as well stream it to everyone and share our thoughts.
My thoughts exactly. So on the heels of E3 and Nintendo's conference more specifically, we wanted to kind of talk about some standout games that are going to be coming out, maybe some of their big hitters, and just kind of talk about really our own personal thoughts on the matter. Like, are we excited about it? Are we not excited about it? What do we feel? And I wanted to start off the conversation with something that I think that is currently out, and that is Mario Golf Super Rush. Now, all of us have gotten a chance, I think, to get some hands-on experience with it. So, Xander, I'm actually having you start us off. I want you to kind of talk about your first impressions of the game.
Oh, well, I guess I'll rip the Band-Aid off first then. I'm not super hot on this game. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not good to me. It's just like, okay, yeah, give it, I guess, another year in the oven, and then when they add more content, then I'll probably enjoy it more. My problem is, like, I don't want to wait a year. I just bought the game. I want to be able to enjoy it now. I've played several of the other Mario golf games, and they are all superior to this one. It kind of blows my mind just how much is missing from this. It's just golf, and then there's also an adventure mode, which is I think they're trying to push a bit more because the sports games started to lose their story mode stuff. They went more into like challenge mode. They had a lot more challenges added to them and mini games type stuff, and those were all fun. But people lamented losing the old RPG stuff from the Game Boys that these games had. And I side with that. I can understand. It wasn't like the biggest thing for me, but I guess it's nice to have it back here. It's just it seems so much more shallow than what they've done in years past. Biggest thing is it's nice to be able to run around a big open 3D world. It's very pretty looking. It's a fun roster of characters. I really like the running around even while you're playing the game during the speed golf. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not ever driven to go back to this one. It makes me feel like I want to just go back and play the older Mario Golf game. Just crazy as it is to say, but like the 3DS one is like 10 times more fun than this game. It's crazy, but whatever, it's fine.
Well, and you brought up a couple points that yeah, because I'm not huge into the Mario like sports genre as a whole, and I didn't recall there being like single player story modes. Were there in the past, and I'm just ignorant?
Yeah, they're straight up like RPGs. It's really kind of crazy.
Because I remember thinking it was odd when Tennis Aces came out, and they're like story mode, and I was like, really?
Yeah,
why?
And that wasn't a very good story mode either.
Well, quick question before we move on: have you been playing with button controls or motion controls?
Button controls.
Okay, gotcha. I was curious. Nintendo Hero, how about your thoughts on this game?
I have some mixed opinions. When I first got it, for the first couple hours that I was playing it, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. And the adventure mode, I see a lot of people are angry about. There's a lot of tutorial in the adventure mode. The beginning is just kind of reading walls and walls of texts. But I guess I was just in a good mood because I was like super into it. I was like, heck yeah, I'll read all of this stuff. And there's some weird stuff with like Birdo is your mom or something like that.
That's awesome.
I was like, what is this? But overall, it's good. But the more I play it, the more I kind of see there are some unpolished sections of it, like how characters just kind of pop out of the screen once they get their ball in the hole. They just kind of instantly disappear without even a fade. I'm like, just add a fade to that animation, you know? But I still think it's really fun. And the adventure mode, I'm almost done with it. And it gets a lot more interesting towards the end. And then the online, the speed golf mode is like super fun. I think speed golf is like a huge addition and lots of fun. So overall, I think I'm still pretty positive, but there are definitely some issues with lack of content, and just overall polish feels a little rough sometimes.
Would you say that you found more enjoyment out of the game playing online with like other people, or do you prefer the single player, or just the different modes?
I think it's
golf or speed golf or whatever.
Yeah, I think I've probably had more fun online, just because I played with some friends and stuff, and it's really fun. We were playing with people you know. Speed golf is just tons of fun. It's frantic, it's crazy, and then story mode. I really enjoyed it at first, but once it gets going, I don't know. Like especially the cross country golf section kind of dragged for me. So probably more enjoyment online, but I still really do like the story mode. Cool.
I'll just wrap up the segment with some of my thoughts. I've only gotten to play it for about probably 2 days. And that is a text message. Zelda plug. Don't worry about it.
So anyway, golfing game.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. But yeah, no. So my general impressions is just that like, I have found enjoyment out of it, but I can already tell for me, it's going to be one of those games that I probably don't get very far in, just because, not that I don't like golf games or anything, because I think like it's super fun. But there's going to have to be a lot of different like ways for me to enjoy it. And I just don't know if I enjoy all the different modes. I have tried out, first I was just like, I need to like play the game and get familiarized with it, because I don't have a lot of experience with just Mario Golf games in general. So I played just like standard golf by myself, just try to learn it. And then I did like some rounds of speed golf, and that was a lot more fun. I agree with you, Nintendo Hero. Speed golf is pretty fun and exhilarating. I then jumped into the adventure mode, and this is just me probably, but I'm not very good at this game. And like, I struggled on like the first, like I'm like still probably in the first introduction of the adventure mode. It took me like 4 tries to beat the qualifying round.
Oh wow.
It was hard for me. Like I don't know. I had to like, but I'll tell you, there was a bit of a reward, because like I figured out what I was doing wrong, and like I learned, and it was basically like teeing off, no problem, but like when you have to like use a wedge or doing putting, I just was having a hard time. I would overshoot, and then like I would underestimate the terrain, and I'd get way off. So I learned my lesson, and I eventually like had victory in it. But then I was like, man, how long is this adventure mode if it took me, a night and a day or whatever to get through the introduction? But but I have not played online, and I would desperately like to play online. So maybe the three of us should play online.
We can try, but I have only played it successfully once. I played like a round of 18 holes, and we got.
Did you get booted off?
We got booted off around hole 13, and there was no way to go back. You can't save your game and go back to it. It's just gone forever. And then the second time we tried playing, which is a separate day, the server was going under maintenance, so we weren't able to play it. And I was like, all right, it's fine.
Got you. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it's the greatest. It's not the greatest experience for me personally, but I didn't know if there were others out there who thought it was amazing, and so it's good to hear your guys' impressions of it.
No, yeah, I wanted to like it so much, and again, maybe in a year's time, once they've dolled out their free DLC, it'll be a good time. But right now, I'm like, I might go back to playing World Tour on the 3DS or Toadstool Tour on the GameCube, because
so that's an interesting point. So can you, just because I'm not very familiar, can you tell me what makes the older installments superior?
There's just a lot more to do. Like the 3DS one has online tournaments. Like that's just like the most basic thing you'd imagine would be in a Switch game, an online tournament.
Yeah, totally.
Gone. That's not nowhere present here at all. Whereas like the NWR people, they were like, okay, I guess we're just gonna set one up now. Like there's like an NWR online tournament right now you can join for the 3DS, because they're like, since you can't play it on your Switch, if you want to do this, we'll have one going on. You literally just like, you create a lobby, and you can have it set up for like a few days or weeks, and you play your game, it leaves your score in the lobby, and then all your friends, you can compare your score. It's really neat. There's a really neat challenge mode where, like, in Mario games, there's lots of rings of coins kind of floating around in space. They've got like these mini games where you can try to hit the ball through the ring of coins and have it bounce off of objects and try to like get combos and stuff. Really neat, very creative stuff. It's not just playing golf. It's like got this flair to it that you'd expect from the Mario franchise to add.
Yeah.
But that's just missed. There's like character matches where you're going to fight Mario in a game of golf. And if you win, you like unlock him again, but you unlock his star version. And the star version of a character is able to do moves that like a normal character can't do. And sometimes it makes it easier to get like a hole in one. And you can like kind of go down the list of achievements. Really neat stuff. And that sounds
like a completely different game.
Yes. And it's crazy to me that it's just none of that's in here. It's just the golf game, which is like, okay, I like the speed edition. That's a neat idea, but it's just like, I feel like you could have used this as a supplement to so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange that it's not in there.
Probably my biggest issue is that there's no Diddy Kong.
Yeah, what's up with that? Where's Diddy Kong?
I know, right? Diddy Kong is like
you have to wonder.
Sakes.
You have to wonder if like all this stuff is just kind of waiting behind a wall or a gate until they like add to the game and surface the game in the future. I mean, that's the optimist to me, that there's more character unlocks coming our way, or
new courses. Thankfully, I mean, they showed New Donk City is going to be one, which is really cool. I want more Mario Odyssey implementation into these spin-off games, so that is nice to see. I'm glad Pauline's back.
Yeah,
it's great. But,
I love that Pauline is getting like such amazing attention now.
Yeah, she's made quite the turnaround. It's very nice and there's other Nintendo characters kind of like her that you kind of want to see come back. But it's just neat that one of the oldest is arguably one of the most important that was forgotten has just made quite a comeback. It's very cool.
For sure. Nintendo Hero, anything else to add before we move on?
That's about it. I'll just say one last thing is that I really like that Miis are back in the spotlight. Because the story mode is...
I knew you would like that, yes.
You're playing as your Mii, and you can see them, and you're playing as them, and you're like walking around. And in my head, I'm just imagining a Switch Sports Resort. That would be so amazing. But I'll settle for Mario Golf. But,
it is pretty cool. I think
they would have done by now is like a Mario Sports Resort thing where you play as your Mii and you go around like a whole island and you meet all the Mario characters and play different... that feels like something isn't that what Mario and Sonic is trying to be? I don't know.
Yeah, there's some ties to that. Like there's the kind of the world exploration. You have your world map where you can run around and talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next topic. And this one I'm excited to talk about, and I'm gonna have Nintendo. I'm gonna have you kick it off first. Are we excited for Zelda Skyward Sword?
So for me personally, it's just very simple. Yes. I'm very excited for Skyward Sword. I'm a big fan, a big believer in Skyward Sword. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I've been campaigning for this game to come to Switch for a while now, and I love Skyward Sword. It's actually been a while since I replayed it. So to see it in HD on the Switch and with all like little minor improvements and stuff, I'm super excited, and I can't wait to play it in a couple of weeks, really.
Yeah, it's coming out, what, the 16th? Is that right?
Yeah, 16th.
Very soon. So I'm kind of vocalizing that with you there. I mean, I'm very, very excited for the game. I think this game has gotten a lot of, it's controversial. I'll say that. It's always been kind of that way. I feel like, it did really well critically, but like fans weren't happy with either, whether it was like the controls or, anything like that. But I love this game, and actually I'm excited to play it again because for me, I think the last time that I played it was 2014 was the last time I played it. So I'm really, really excited to jump back into it. And like this game has just needed an HD coat of paint for so long. It's amazing that like it was, especially when Wind Waker HD came out and like Twilight Princess HD came out, you're just kind of like, but this game, don't forget about it. So I'm very, very excited for it. I'm excited, or I really want to see how the game performs with button controls, because that's the thing I really, really want. And I'm glad that they have done that. But I pose a question. Are we for sure that you can play with a pro controller?
I think it's confusing. There's kind of conflicting information. I personally think yes, because on the website it says like there are some major new additions, and like the first one is enhanced button controls, and it doesn't say in handheld. So I think you can play. If you can't play with pro controller, that would be like a huge problem that would hurt the game a lot.
Yeah, I think that you have to like wonder what's the thought behind this, because like they still at the forefront push motion controls, as they should, because that's the way the game was designed initially. And I'm anxious to see if the Joy-Con controllers will cut it or not. But when they announced button controls, it's like, oh, thank goodness. And then like immediately everyone's like, but can we do it on the TV? Can we do it docked?
Yeah, and how ironic that it even if like, I just think it's interesting that Skyward Sword, the Zelda game everyone kind of harps on for not having a control scheme they like, finally gets button controls on Nintendo's worst controllers. Just it's like, come on, Skyward Sword, they've got to deal you one good hand eventually, right? It's just it's really unfortunate. I don't know. It might be like one of those things where like in Mario Odyssey, like they only showed them playing it with the split Joy-Con. Well, that's a flagship Switch game, and that had motion controls in it. But like once you start the game up, you can easily switch to the Pro Controller, easy, no problem. And maybe that's the case here. But like I thought that since they announced the game that they only showed it in handheld mode when you can use the button controls. It's like surely that means you can use the Pro Controller or at least the Joy-Cons in their grip form, right? But they haven't showed it, and I don't know. It's kind of worrisome. But
yeah, I'm trying to think back to though. Like I feel like when you think about the Switch marketing, like I don't want to say like style or like campaign or whatever, but like when you notice like in a lot of their marketing, when they're showing off the console, they still want to show you the Switch of it all, right? Like they want you to show them using the console. So maybe like that's the only reason why we haven't seen that. And like they're always kind of coy about the details, I feel like, for a lot of things anyway. Hopefully we're pleasantly surprised and we can play in the Pro Controller, because that's what I want to play. That's how I want to play it. I think I'll definitely try out, because what I didn't mention is those Joy-Cons though look sick. And I want them so bad. But I think my preferred play style, if it's available, will be on the Pro Controller.
That's interesting. I played this game last fall because I was just like interested in revisiting it, and there were rumors about them doing an HD remake. And I remember thinking that I didn't think the motion controls were actually that bad. I was actually kind of like, okay, I can get into this. Sometimes when they didn't work, it was frustrating, but like it wasn't. It did not ruin the experience. I think that Skyward Sword has problems that are far greater than anything the motion controls do. And so they've, like Nintendo here said, there have been vague statements on improvements made to the game. And our assumption is it's probably some of the tutorial stuff with Fi or Fi. And I'm hoping that's addressed. But also, I just want them to add some new content to it that's not filler. Because that's like one of the biggest disappointments I have.
What would you like to see added to it, potentially?
Something else to do with those items that they give you. I liked the concept that they presented with the time travel pirate ship. I think that if they did more with that, I'd be into it. I don't need a cave of shadows or trials. I don't need that. Do not need that. Underline, bold, italicized. Like that's not. I'm not here for that. I would like it if they added like a new. This is probably going to become the future reference point for all ports, but it's like, if there was like a Bowser's Fury-esque situation where they like added on a new campaign, or just like a Gru side story, or maybe you saw like Zelda's perspective of the story, I think that would hook me back into playing this game. But if it's just an HD 60 FPS version of Skyward Sword, I'm kind of like, all right. I'm not as big of a fan of it as some people, so if that's something you're into, by all means, if this was like a Luigi's Mansion, I would be saying the same thing, except I would absolutely be getting it because I love that game. And so it's like, I get it. It's like I want new content, but it doesn't really interest me right now. I'm kind of hoping that they are able to sell me on it, but yeah.
That's fair.
Can we talk about the fact that this will be the first 3D Zelda game in 60 FPS? I just realized that recently, and it kind of blew my mind. Like, this will be the first 3D Zelda experience in silky smooth 60 FPS, and I'm really excited for that.
Skyward Sword, you'll always have that. You'll be able to claim that forever.
Yeah.
Do you? Let me ask you this, guys. A lot of people have been kind of like torn on whether they like it in HD. I don't know if necessarily it being in HD is the issue, but like some people think they've removed some of the watercolor effects that they've put on it. I haven't really stared at the game that much because for my reasons I've already stated. But what do you guys think? Do you think this looks like how you envisioned this HD version, or?
For me, it does look how I imagined it. And I only say that, like, I remember thinking, just quickly to flash back to when they put up the, I think like the first trailer for Twilight Princess HD. And I feel like I was scratching my head, like, does it look good enough? Does it look, how I imagined it? And the answer then was no, it didn't look how I imagined it. But when you do side-by-side comparisons, like, well, yeah, it's not like it's retextured or anything. It is in HD though, so they weren't lying. I think when I played Skyward Sword, I'd look at like some of the blurry visuals and I'd be like, oh, but it's watercolor. So is that like, I took it as like, that's their excuse for blurry graphics. Got it. So when I look at this, like it looks beautiful to me. I'm like, I don't think it loses all of that quite as much. Maybe a little bit, but I'd rather have the way it looks, honestly, coming out on the Switch than ever before. But that's just me. What about you, Nintendo Hero?
I agree. I think it looks really good. I've watched a lot of side-by-side comparisons of the Wii version, and I think the color palette and the overall vibe and style of the game is still kept in this HD version. I think it still looks like Skyward Sword to me. And I never really bought into the blurry watercolor thing. I just like the art style a lot. It's like Wind Waker combined with Twilight Princess. It just looks super vibrant and amazing. And I think the HD visuals are going to help the game look so much better.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like I'm just excited to play the game again. Like I said earlier, I haven't played it in a few years, or for a while, actually. And I think I wasn't expecting a lot just because we have a roadmap of like, well, we got Wind Waker, we got Twilight Princess on those HD formats. Like, so this is we're getting the same game with this coat of paint on it. But but now I'm like, all the things that Xander, that you said, like, well, that would be amazing if they added that, and that would be amazing if they added that. It
doesn't even have to be as big as Bowser's Fury. Like, okay,
right.
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has an epilogue to it that's new to the Switch version called Future Connected, and it's not. I think that's considerably less as big than like Bowser's Fury, but like it's a new feature, it's a new story, it's a new area to explore. There's more content there. That's kind of what I was hoping. And at this point, the game comes out like this month, so it's like it seems doubtful at this point. But I think
for like quality of life improvements for me, like what would be nice is if you could get the Hylian shield sooner, would be nice. If you didn't have to fight the imprisoned so much. I'm one of those people that complains about that all the time. It's definitely the weakest part of the game for me. If there were more rewards for exploration in the skies or just sprinkle a couple more islands in there, that would be lovely.
And have them tie into like that crafting system, because that was another component of Skyward Sword that they got introduced for the series, but they didn't do a whole lot with. It was kind of just like an optional thing. You can play the game and not have to do the crafting stuff, which is interesting. But I think it'd be neat if like you could do that and have it tie into some other content. And it's also weird because it's like I almost wish that they would take content out, but like saying that out loud is like kind of blasphemous in how I view video game preservation. So I'm like, that's the thing with Skyward Sword. It's like you'd have to retool the game, and then at that point, it's not even the same game anymore.
Was Skyward Sword, I'm trying to remember which Zelda it was, when you would like every time you would boot it up and you got like a blue rupee, it would stop to tell you got a blue rupee.
Yeah,
that's
Skyward Sword.
They got to do away with that.
I think they will, but just because of Breath of the Wild, they specifically mentioned Skyward Sword, and they're like, in past Zelda games, the item thing would pop up every single time, and it doesn't happen anymore. So like they're aware of the issue.
They're aware of
so
it.
I'm guessing that won't happen anymore, and if it does, that would surprise me.
I would love it if they didn't get rid of that.
It would almost be a joke at that point.
Why would you love it?
Like, I would hate it if I played it, but like, if the fact that they do like a remaster of this game and that is still in there, oh, chef's kiss, Nintendo, you're amazing.
Okay, final thoughts on Skyward Sword before we move on.
Not getting it.
You're not getting it?
No, I'm not getting it. Unless they can do something else to sell me on it, I'm gonna live vicariously through you guys. I know you'll probably stream it or something. Nintendo Hero will probably do it.
I'll be streaming it. Everybody.
I was going to make a video about it before release, but then I realized that's just attracting controversy to my channel that I don't want.
I'll miss seeing Groose again. He's the best character.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm just excited to experience it again. Whatever the flaws are, I think Skyward Sword has one of the strongest stories of all Zelda. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I know she gets a lot of hate, but I love Fi so much. And I'm just excited. Yeah. I'm just excited to experience the story.
She got the coolest companion design, I think.
Yeah, I think honestly,
close to Midna.
50 to 60% of the reason why I love her so much is the music that her theme.
So good.
It's one of my favorite Nintendo themes of all time. But anyways,
she's got a good character arc too. It's just if they would pull back on those tutorials, I think you could enjoy that aspect of her a little bit more too.
Yes. All right, moving on. This honestly, I threw this in as a topic just because I thought it'd be relevant. And honestly, as the week has gone along, this has become my most anticipated topic of the whole discussion. And it's Metroid Dread. So let's get into it, guys. Xander, why don't you start us off with your thoughts on Metroid Dread?
I'm pretty hyped for Metroid Dread. I've never been able to finish a Metroid game. I have played several of them at this point. I think I was a kid when Fusion came out, and I remember playing that a little bit and thinking it was cool, but getting stuck and then giving up on it. I probably played the NES one on like a Smash Brothers demo at some point, and I tried Prime a few years ago through the Wii U Prime Trilogy collection. Just have never been able to finish them. I usually hit a wall with them, and I don't like looking up a guide for Metroid because the whole point of the game is to explore, and if you have to use a guide, it kind of defeats the purpose, I suppose. That said, I've used guides before. There's some Zelda BS puzzles where I'm like, this is I don't know how you'd ever figure this out. And Metroid has its moments like that too. So in preparation for Metroid Dread, that looks so cool. I'm trying, like many, to go back and play the older games that I haven't played, and I think you guys are as well. I started with the NES game. It's really hard, to say the least. I played it for about 3 hours. Tried using save states, that rewind feature, and I got pretty far into it, but there just came a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there's no map, you can't crouch shoot, and there's no way to heal quickly. You have to like go up to those little like spawn points where the guys will come out and then fly horizontally at you, and you have to just keep hitting them over and over to refill your health, and it takes like 15 minutes just to get all the way back to 100. It's a pretty brutal game, and I can say I at least tried and I spent my time with it, but then I switched to Zero Mission, like I think you guys have been playing, and that has been a real treat. But I'll let you guys talk about that because I've been talking a bit.
Yeah, go Nintendo Hero.
Yeah, so I've never really been into Metroid, which is funny because I've tried most other Nintendo franchises. The most experience I've had with the series is Metroid Blast from Nintendo Land. That's basically all I knew about Metroid. So a couple of months ago, actually, I was making a video about the importance of openings in Nintendo games, and I was covering kind of my usual games that I always talk about. And then I saw online that Super Metroid has one of the greatest openings of all time. And I was like, I'll try it out, see if it's good, just to add some little variety to my video. And I played it, and it like blew my mind how cinematic it was and how epic it was. And I felt like I was going on this epic space adventure. And the opening to that game is incredible, the music, all of it. And it just hooked me. So I played Super Metroid a couple months ago, and I really loved it. But then I just kind of put it down, and I was like, okay, I experienced that game. But then Metroid Dread announcement came, which made my whole E3, because I'm lucky that I played Super Metroid just in time, because I saw it and I was like, yes, I'm a fan of this. I can't wait to see this. And I was super excited. And then now I'm going to be playing through all the 2D Metroid games in preparation. So then recently, a couple of weeks ago, I played Metroid Zero Mission, and that, again, blew me away. These games keep, like, it's so good. It's really addicting. The gameplay is smooth and precise. The controls are good. The exploration, all of it. Like, I'm totally a Metroid fan now, and I can't wait for Dread.
Yeah, I'll feel kind of dumb just echoing basically everything you just said, but I didn't. My first exposure to Metroid was
Ori.
No, Samus in Smash. I was like, oh, this is Samus, and then like she's got her own games, cool. And like I remember when I got my GameCube, and like when I got that console, they gave you like with it like a little preview disc that you could like preview, like watch videos and like trial different games. And the games on it were Sunshine, Wind Waker, and Prime. And so like I would, which is a great collection, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so like I would try out those games, and like I was like, well, I like the first few minutes of Prime. So I bought Prime and I tried it, and I got lost. And now this is like, I'm like maybe 10 or 11 basically. So anyways, put that down, and I have basically never played any 2D Metroid games. No, that's the lie. I played, I think it was Fusion. Is that on the Game Boy Advance?
Yes. I
played Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, and I really liked that, but I never beat it like you, Xander. I never beat any Metroid games. So then that was basically the end of me and Metroid for a long time. And so, you know, Metroid Dread, I was like, I understood vaguely how important that announcement was, but not really to the extent that it really was for everybody. And then, you know, off camera, you and I, all of us were kind of talking about it. So you guys were talking about like replaying the series, and I was like, well, maybe I should try that. So I kind of asked you guys questions. I'm like, okay, break it down for me, because there's like a ton of games, but like this is 5. So what are the 4 that I need to play? And you guys mapped it out for me, where to play it, all that kind of stuff. So I have dabbled with Samus Returns, dabbled with Super Metroid, and Nintendo Hero. You're spot on. The beginning of that game is mind-blowing.
It really is, yeah.
But then I have played the most of Zero Mission. And for fun, I did try out the original on NES, just with the NES Online on the Switch. And it's brutal. I did not like my experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
I feel like the games back then were just so difficult, and like that wasn't. I feel like the point of the games was like to test you and you had to explore to find your reward and figure things out on your own, because the game wouldn't tell you how to do anything. And yeah, like I was like, it was funny because I played Zero Mission first, and I was like learning how to play this game and like how to pull off all these cool stunts and everything. And then like you try to go and play it on the NES. I'm like, I can't crouch shoot.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Such a big thing. Yeah.
And they expect you to draw your own map.
Yeah. Draw your own map and like, shooting diagonally and like just things like that was like, take all these things taken away from you. But anyway, so I don't know where I'm at in terms of progression, but I've been playing Metroid Zero Mission a lot lately. And not moving through it too fast because I've been trying to ignore guides and trying to figure things out on my own. And I've been managing, So I'll have to confess though, one thing I did have to look up was how to when Samus runs really, really fast, how to
same thing happened to me.
Oh yeah, that took me a while to understand.
And jump or in any directions. That took me I did not know.
The shine spark. Yeah, that's very confusing stuff.
So that was the only thing I've had to really look up. But otherwise, it's been such a great experience. So I'm going to try to play through them. I don't think I'm going to cover them on the channel because I have other things I want to cover in the channel. But it's been very, very fun. And Metroid Dread looks amazing. So good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm trying to play them chronologically. So now that Zero Mission's coming to an end, it's like, okay, I guess next is 2, and it's like, which version of 2 do I play? There's the Game Boy one, or there's the fan remake, which is very close to the Game Boy one, but it's like more in the style of Zero Mission, AM2R, or then there's the Nintendo remake, which is what came out on the 3DS, and that's kind of a different game, even though it is a remake. They took some creative liberties with that one. So it's like, gosh, which sequel experience do I want to go to? And then there's Super, which
it's kind of funny though, because Samus Returns on the 3DS is like such a step up from Zero Mission, or even Zero Mission, and then you get to the next game and it's the step back.
Yeah,
Super Metroid.
Kind of funny. They keep kind of leapfrogging like that, and then, but yeah, I'm excited to see to kind of keep continuing this. Like I said, there's not like, it's so nice to like become a fan of something that you've only had a little bit of exposure to. I think the last time I had this happen to me was with Pikmin. It was like one of those things like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's in Smash Brothers. Like I know it's one of Nintendo's IPs. I've never really not my thing. But then I played it and I was like, this is awesome. What have I been doing? And now I'm a fan of it. And Metroid has become the same thing. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm really excited to just kind of see how the games, as I play through them, what new things they add, how it progresses and stuff, like from controls to enemy types and stuff. And like, I mean, the main thing that I got from Dread is this robot thing that's apparently indestructible and we should all be afraid of, even though I think it looks kind of cute. But that's just me. I'm like, I don't know how threatening it looks, but I should be scared of this thing. So, but I don't know. I don't think any of us have a really good grasp on the 2D series as a whole and have expectations for where this new game's going, right?
Well, I think it's supposed to wrap because Fusion is the most story heavy of the 2D games. All of Prime takes place between 1 and 2 in the chronology of Metroid. So it's like Metroid, all of Prime, Metroid 2, and then it kind of continues onward. So
what about Other M?
I think that's between 3 and 4, and most people
hate that game.
Most people hate that game. That's kind of I hate to say this to you too, especially, but I would consider that game to be the Skyward Sword of the franchise.
Ouch.
So like with Other M, because I haven't even seen gameplay of that. It's not a 2D game.
No,
it's like an action adventure. It's like a beat 'em up almost. Like it's not Metroid
at
all.
It's more of a 3D game, but it's a beat 'em up, and then it has components where it turns into a 2D game, and it's also very story focused. But
interesting. So it's not first person shooter.
I don't believe it's. I haven't played it myself. I've only just seen
Okay.
it, but I think it's more of a third-person game. Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of people tell me that like it is not important, but it's a part of the Metroid, I guess, history. So I think it's worth checking out. But a lot of people hate the story in that game. A lot of people view it as a betrayal up to the character of Samus, and so
Interesting.
a lot of people.
I love that when people get super passionate and take ownership of the character.
Yeah, I know, right?
And they're like, "You did it wrong."
It's kind of like how Star Wars fans like they kind of I'll keep that brief, but like there are certain movies people gravitate towards hating than others, and I think Other Men is kind of that game in the series. But I haven't played it, so I can't really speak too much on it. But a lot of people say that it's so bad you can pretend it doesn't happen and it's fine. Like that's how some people. That's how I've heard it described to me. So I think that's interesting. But Metroid Dread takes place after Fusion, which takes place after Other M. So it's like it's so far from that, I guess, at this point that whatever. But I'll probably check it out at some point. Just kind of working my way through the series.
Final thoughts on Metroid Dread, guys?
I think it's interesting how many years this has taken, because Metroid. So there's Metroid 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Dread is 5. But then 4 Fusion was on the Game Boy, and I've heard that's like a very linear game.
Yes,
like
it
Game
is.
Boy Advance. It's like very linear. There's not much exploration. And then Samus Returns is similar. There's not much exploration. It's just linear. So the last time we've had a home console 2D Metroid game with exploration focus was Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo.
Number 3, yeah.
So it's been forever since we've gotten a brand new 2D Metroid game.
And it's totally like all about exploration too.
Yeah, I get vibes of like when Mario Odyssey came out, and it's like, wow, they're doing a sandbox Mario game. Like it's been so long since they've done one of those. That's kind of how I feel with this Metroid game. It's very neat that they're doing it.
Well, sorry, I've cut you off.
Oh, I was just gonna say, on the note of like the NES game, I felt driven to try it, and I wanted to beat it because I was like, you know what, it's an NES game. I've played plenty of NES games that are rough. Like, how hard could this be? And it's like, no, it really is not worth it. They made Zero Mission for a reason, and that game's amazing. I think you don't need to feel like there's any gatekeeping with like being a true Metroid fan if you haven't played the NES one. Like, I think it's worth checking out. The Switch version of the Switch Online has like an SP version where you start at the very beginning, not at the very beginning of the game, but you start right before the Ridley boss fight, and you're all souped up. You got all the power ups and everything, so you can kind of just go to town right away. I tried that, and I was like, okay, cool. I would never get to this part in the game on my own in a normal playthrough, so I can at least experience it somewhat. But yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one last thing for you to keep in mind, Drew, is Zero Mission. There's a big boss fight coming up pretty soon in your playthrough, and it's like the most annoying, frustrating thing I've ever done in my entire life. Like, I almost put the game down. It's so annoying, but here's the good part. After that boss fight is one of my favorite gameplay segments in any Nintendo game or video game
Whoa.
ever. So once you get past that annoying boss fight, push through it, because holy crap, the next segment is incredible.
What's the boss fight? I don't care about if it's a big spoiler or anything.
It's just
Game's been
mother brain. It's like this weird brain thing that you shoot. But after that, just prepare yourself for perfection.
Mother brain, the Bowser of the Metroid series.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I've beaten Kraid, and then I beat this I don't know how to describe it. It's like parasite slug thing. You fight it like 2 times, and then I fought Ridley, that was fun. But that was a really easy fight, so I hope I get to fight Ridley again.
I struggled with Kraid. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, I feel like the window of where you can hit him is so small.
I thought you had to hit his little red eyes because I was like, oh, it's the weak spot, and I kept doing it, and the missiles would bounce off. So I was like, okay. So I went down under, and when I was shooting him in the belly, you saw the explosions, and I'm like, okay, there's an explosion. He's actually taking damage, right? And then
wait, you can hit him in the belly?
Yeah, well, let me finish. Okay, so I did this loop where I was hitting him in the belly, and then he'd shoot out his little belly rocket things, and I'd like jump on those, grab the ammo that would spawn from his little white claw things, and then rinse, repeat. I did this for like 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, I've got to be missing something because there's no way this boss fight is 20 minutes long. And I've just been doing the same thing. Yeah, that's not how you beat him. I was closer on my first guess. You have to.
I beat him. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, if I could have hit him in the belly, then it would have been easy. But like, there's like a sweet spot on his face. You have to missile anyway.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong in this assumption or not, because I think before knowing what I know now, I kind of considered like, well, I'll use Zelda as an example. And this is just my opinion on Zelda, that I really consider the main line games as the 3D games, and everything else is just kind of extra. I know that's not how it really is.
That's what you care about, though.
But that's what I care about.
Yeah.
So with Metroid, I was like, oh, it's all about the Prime trilogy, basically.
Yeah.
But I think it's bad. Like, I think it's the main line series is all about the 2D experience. Am I wrong?
Because all of it takes. That's why it's so interesting that Prime 4 is being made, is because it takes place between the first and second game, presumably, because that's what the first trilogy set. So it's like, are you going to do a Prime 4 at the very end of the series? Like, people thought that for the longest time, and then they do. It's if you don't know Metroid, like if you don't understand, like there's a difference between the Prime franchise and like just the Metroid franchise, you'd be like, wait, you're still working on Metroid 4, but you're doing Metroid 5?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think it's just like the weird thing for me was like, oh, the Prime games like they look better, they seem like more of like a AAA kind of experience, and then you have these like 2D experiences that are like, well, that's where it began, kind of like Zelda, but now it's this. And then like for them to kind of come out strong with this, like I feel like they're saying that the 2D story is what counts at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that they're more excited for Metroid Dread than Prime 4 just because the 2D games mean so much to them, and that's kind of the main storyline they've been following.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say on it is like I'm if you don't know, I'm a huge Ori fan, everybody, and it's really nice to kind of see the OG, the people who started the formula and experience that, because when you hear it's become a subgenre like Metroidvania. I've not played Castlevania, but you hear about the Metroidvania style, and you're like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And it's really it's nice to kind of experience Metroid, finally. So that's all I'll say about it. But like, yeah, I'm addicted to it. It's so fun to play. Yeah.
I want to end of the segment by saying like it also is just really nice that people are playing these older games, specifically Metroid Zero Mission, and loving them. Same with Super Metroid. It's like I feel like I say things like, gosh, the older Mario Golf games were way more fun. And I always feel like, okay, I'm just saying that into a void. It's not like the people are going to play them. You know what I mean? Like the Switch one's the one that came out. And it's like, no, now people are playing a Metroid game from the past and that people love. And it's like, other game series are like that too. I hate to be that guy. But
no, I think it's accurate. I mean, like in some cases, it's
not all
accurate.
For sure. I mean, the NES Metroid, good grief, but some of these other ones,
I'm amazed at the game design of Zero Mission. It's just like, wow, like they thought of that. Like that's so cool. Like, all these little things that just bring joy to you. And it's just like, it's amazing. But anyway, all right, we're probably going to move on. We have one more major topic to cover. And you probably could tell from the thumbnail, it is Splatoon 3.
Let's go. The best topic of the night.
So let's talk about it. Nintendo Hero, I know you've been dying, so let's just start with you.
Take as much time as you want, because I have nothing to say about this game. Nintendo Hero.
Splatoon is legit like one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. Like for me, it's the big three: Mario, Zelda, Splatoon. Wow. Metroid is kind of getting up there now, but Splatoon is definitely.
We just shot past Donkey Kong, Kirby.
Yep.
Screw you, Pikachu. It's Splatoon where it's
Pokemon is up there. I freaking love this series. It's amazing. And Splatoon 3 is up there with Breath of the Wild 2 as my most anticipated game coming up. Those two are kind of tied. And some days I go back and forth between which one I'm more hyped for, but yeah, Splatoon 3.
So
I just can't
explain
wait.
to me what you're so hyped for.
Mainly just that I get to play Splatoon again, and it'll be the topic of conversation again. Because Splatoon 2 happened, it was great, it was new, it was fresh. Pardon the Splatoon pun, but and then it ended. So all the Splatfests ended. Everyone stopped talking about it. We all just kind of moved on. And it was like, are we gonna have to wait till the next Nintendo console to talk about Splatoon again and play Splatoon again? And no, that we get to have another one on the Switch, and that's just so exciting to me. And then the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2 was so incredible. And it's one of my favorite Nintendo single-player experiences. So to be able to get a new Splatoon story, like pretty soon after that, we don't have to wait for another Nintendo console. We can get a new Splatoon game. It just, I don't know, it's really exciting to me.
Yeah, Octo expansion felt like it was like, okay, that this is our last like hoorah for Splatoon on the Switch. But here we are, and it's interesting because like the Wii U was what it was, but Splatoon was a success for that console, and so you think, okay, well now we got the Switch coming out, we can't just port the one successful game we had right away. I guess you could do that, but I guess it would make sense for them to do a sequel to it to capitalize on that success and bring people in, but not make it too different. Make it kind of the same thing that people want with some more improvements, and that's kind of what Splatoon 2 is. And so when you're doing a third one or a second one on the same console, you kind of think, well, what's going to separate it from the second one? I think that's kind of a big talking point around this game. And in my eyes, like I guess I view Splatoon as like, it's a great series, but it's going to be a one per console, kind of like Smash Brothers. It would be weird for me to imagine another Smash Brothers on the Switch because we have Smash, especially with Smash Ultimate. Just like the two names fighting each other would be wild. So you wonder what is it they're going to do to deviate from Splatoon 2. Because clearly they must have an idea, or maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe they really are just doing like another of the same thing, which is fine, especially for Splatoon fans. Like that's what they love. But like when I first saw the Splatoon 3 announcement, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like you're doing another Splatoon thing. What is it going to be? And then it jumps right into them doing like that turf war thing, but this time they're flying. And I was like, okay, I guess like it's more of that. Like that's not a bad thing. I love turf war. I think it's the best mode in the game, but it's that experience again. It just confused me, but I don't want to sound I'm not excited. I guess I'm just kind of confused still.
When they first announced Splatoon 3, it was so unexpected that like I was just like, oh really already? Because like you guys had said, like I was almost expecting not till the next console generation. But I think the popularity of Splatoon and the fact that it's releasing next year is like just echoes how strong Splatoon really is, and like it enough apparently that it's warranting another game. But I'll use this as an example, and it's the Halo franchise. I don't really cover Halo, but I follow it, and I used to play it a lot more than I do now, but Halo games come out and you're like, what could they possibly do to make it different? And when it comes to multiplayer, somehow, some way, they've made it better every time you boot up Halo and play multiplayer. But really, I think after Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2, and they kind of, I think, they'll iron out and perfect that multiplayer experience, of course. But I think they're at the point now where like people are going to come back for the next story campaign, and that's really, I think, where the future of Splatoon is going. Mm-hmm. I hilariously am terrible at Splatoon.
We know.
Yeah. And I know like when they announced Splatoon 3, I was like, well, Splatoon streams are coming back, baby. Like even if it's for 2, like we'll do some more streams. I don't know, but like it's just funny because like I'm so bad at that, and I'll never get good at it. I know that I won't get good at it, and it's not like I could sink all the time in the world into it and I wouldn't improve. But I'm glad that there's something better for me, which I play games for the story campaigns, and Splatoon surprisingly has great campaigns.
I know, right?
I played the first game just like for fun. I was like, I know people want me to stream this game probably so they can play with me and destroy me, but I'm going to play the story, dang it. And I played it and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like I thought it would just be like something that they threw in and tagged on. But it was so good. And Splatoon 2's story was, I liked that better. And then the Octo expansion, like, they've just really done a good job.
It's come to the point where like that's part of the expectation of what Splatoon is, right? Like, okay, it's going to be more the multiplayer, but also like you've done a great job with these single player campaigns. Like I kind of expect that's all the Octo expansion was, for goodness sake. You know, the only multiplayer component of that was the reward. So it's like. And this trailer starts off with like this post-apocalyptic world, which ties in, I guess, to how Splatoon frames their sequels now.
The final Splatfest, yeah.
The final Splatfest, yeah. So it's that aspect of it I am excited about, and like I guess it's easier to say this out loud, but like I'm reminded of like the Pikmin series. Like it is one thing, you know. It's like this real-time strategic planning game. Which feels really weird to call it that, but that's what it is. And you thought that was like a one and done per console, but then they did a sequel on the GameCube, and it's like it's the same concept, but they came up with like a whole different way of incorporating it. And so it's like if they're doing another version or a sequel of the game on the Switch to Splatoon, maybe that's what this is. Maybe it will have that multiplayer component that we really like. But it's going to have a whole other slew of stuff in that campaign. Maybe there's a replacement for Salmon Run. Maybe there's something. Maybe they're bringing Salmon Run back, but there's a new idea for that too. I mean, there's a little salmon buddy in the trailer. You know, it's like,
yeah,
those Salmon Run confirmed. I don't know, but
I did enjoy the Salmon Runs a lot. I wish that they were open all the time and not closed whenever I wanted to play it. But
that's one thing they have fixed. It's not open all the time, but it's basically all the time. Because when it first launched. It was like very specific windows for Salmon Run. Yeah. But now if you hop on, it's basically open all day, every day.
So like, okay, if they do this, if they are doing this sequel, even if it's like just another Splatoon game, I don't mean to make that sound like it's not good. If it's not like this big step forward in evolution, because like who says it needs to be? You know, if you like this game, then
can I just say something really quickly?
Go for it.
That shot. What if, to make it different, they make this a giant sandbox, almost an open world Splatoon?
Oh yeah, like you paint the desert your color.
Just you have that
factions.
Shot of her running across the desert. I was like, holy crap! What if this was open world? Sorry,
I definitely think there'll be large open areas. Also, the vibe of this shot, I freaking love it. It's so weird and amazing.
The fish in the foreground.
The weird.
That's something Splatoon does great, though. It's just like these weird, awkward moments you love. They're usually on subways.
I think for me, like one of the reasons, like I get excited about Splatoon is like there's very few games out there for me that like just feel so good to play. Splatoon's one of them, and I don't know why. It's something that is just. There's little things that you do that the character does, how you move that is just satisfying. And I think that's one of the reasons why I liked Splatoon so much when I first picked it up. And I don't know, it's just like, it's how you could essentially, you just move so quick and it's just like, the more you master it, it feels like until you play multiplayer, you feel like you've really got a handle on things. And I really like it when games make you feel powerful until you play multiplayer. But so I'm excited to see, and I just like just now thought like, what if Splatoon was not open world like Breath of the Wild? I just mean like, you know, bigger sandbox like maybe Mario Odyssey, and I think that would be amazing to have levels where you could pick up missions, you know, and just in the same sandbox. I think that'd be cool.
I just don't want them to do the mistakes that I call them mistakes. Clearly, Nintendo does not, but I do not want the Splatoon monkey paw aspect coming with it. You know, like the baggage, I guess is a better word. Like you turn the game on, you have to sit through 2.5 minutes of the people talking to you, and I'm just like, I get it. Good grief. Like, you have a mobile phone app for me to see this information before I turn the game on. Like, I don't need to have you tell me again. Or like you were saying,
Think about like what if
the
those characters who do that, like they're also, you know, living in the apocalyptic world, and they have like
them out.
or like what if like while you're moving around and running around, like you could hear them talking like on your, like, I don't know, whatever device you have, like they have like some kind of like setup in some underground bunker that they've like found and made it into, like, I don't know. It'd just be fun to kind of incorporate it in different ways. But I was going to say,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, to finish up, like, you know, it would be interesting to see how they do it this time. I mean, it does look like you're going to be operating out of a city again, which is fine. But
I could talk about cities all day. The Splatoon cities.
But what made the Splatoon experience so amazing was that they somehow managed to make that hub world, like, the multiplayer was almost a part of your story experience. Like, you could go do the story and then take a break from that, come back to the hub world, and like your character could just go play in some matches. And like, instead of making it a separate game, essentially, your multiplayer game, your single player game.
No, it exists in the world of Splatoon. It's a real thing. This is what I want ARMS to become. You know, like, they only have that sport. There's no like greater world that ties this thing together. Like, come on, you're so close.
ARMS 2.
There's some funny dialogue if you consistently talk to like Captain Cuttlefish. If you keep talking to him over and over again, he'll be like, "You better be winning in the online matches. I probably shouldn't look at your stats though." Stuff like that. It's so great.
Yeah.
I
hope they go big with it though. Like, I'm ready. Like, bring out the mechs. You know, like, you got a big desert. Like, let's all pilot a giant machine. We'll literally paint the whole desert. Like, dude, have fun with it.
That could be cool. Yeah. Quick side tangent about the cities of Splatoon. So the first Splatoon is based around, I don't actually know the name of, but it's in Tokyo. It's this big city plaza where like millions of people cross. You know what? It's in Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious movie. But it's like this big plaza with these huge like walking places for pedestrians. And so that's what the first game is based off of. And the second one is obviously based off of New York, Times Square, kind of that aesthetic. And the third game, they picked like this weird crime city from like the 1940s or something. It's like this cesspit of evilness. And it's this really interesting piece of history where people just literally continue to build on top of each other.
It looks like a Blade Runner set to me, but yeah, I can see what you're saying.
It's a real piece of history. It's like real life Gotham City, basically. It's just crime and drugs and all this horrible stuff. And so
it doesn't look good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like this. There's some historical thing behind it. I'm forgetting it, but I think it's a really interesting setup because it's not one of those obvious cities. Like, they could have just done like San Francisco or something, but they're choosing something weird, and that's exciting.
Wonder if they knew that Chaos was going to win. I wonder if, like, when they were thinking of the, because like, I guess if your final Splatfest is like actually going to be your linchpin on where the story goes, like, what if they had been planning on Chaos winning and then it was actually Order, and they're like, we have no idea what we're going to do now.
Yeah, I'm guessing they probably had like rough outlines for both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The interesting thing to me about the story is that Splatoon 1 came out in 2015, and then Splatoon 2 came out in 2017, so just 2 years after. So I think that's why Splatoon 2's story mode is kind of just an upgraded version of the first games. There's not a lot of, improvements and new ideas. It's just kind of the same thing, but better. And the Octo expansion was wildly new, wildly different. And now it's been 2017 to 2022. That's a much longer period of time for them to, come up with new ideas and make the story like way interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's like when they, it was really great on the Wii U, and they're like, well, we need a Splatoon game on Switch. Let's make sure we get that. And now maybe they've had more time for development to make some big brand new ideas.
Yeah, and Octo expansion came out pretty soon. I think it was 2018.
2018, yep.
Yeah, they've had it feels like it's not been that long, but I mean, I guess it has when you look at those years. But I'm interested to see where this goes. Like I'm saying, go big, bring out those mechs, or let us paint the whole desert.
It'd be nice if, like, can you imagine, like, you're in the desert and, like, you have this big mech kind of, like, boss thing, like, Titan thing that you have to take down, and, like, you have to, like, there's, like, the legs are its own battle, and then you climb up and you know, like
Shadow the Colossus. Like
Shadow the yeah.
It's like that. That's like the final boss of Octo Expansion. Yeah,
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm into this.
Excited. When do you expect to see anything else in the game?
I think in the next Nintendo Direct, probably. I don't think we'll have to wait till E3 because I think it's going to be a summer game. I think it's going to come out in June, July. So I think the next big Nintendo Direct, like September, October, the fall one, I think we'll see more of it.
Yeah, that would be exciting. Final thoughts on Splatoon 3?
I can't wait. That's about it.
Looks off the hook.
Ooh,
Sounds
good one.
Good. Ooh, nice pun.
Stay fresh.
So that's all the topics for today. We kind of covered a lot of things, but I'm sure this conversation will kind of ignite new ideas and stuff. Especially if you guys are watching this after the fact, please comment below your thoughts, because that's the cool thing about speculation and discussion is like, you guys brought up things that like I didn't think about at all about these games, and now I'm even more, gears are turning and everything. Now before we go, this is kind of a different topic altogether, but I have a sort of a semi-surprise / reveal to share with you guys, and I'll probably upload this separately on the channel, but let me just share it real quick and we can take a look-see.
My word.
That looks amazing. The editing was incredible on that.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Take a bow. That was amazing.
Thank you. Super Druber's World is coming holiday 2021, everybody.
Super Druber's World.
Yeah.
That looks like so much fun.
Thank you. So I've been working on my own Mario game for, it's probably been a couple years now. It's amazing when you have no time and only one person developing a game. It takes forever. But yeah. So that is a first teaser trailer. I finally was like, I just need to give myself a deadline and get this thing done, because I am about I'm like 30 levels into my 40 level game.
You're running laps around me. I'm only on level 15.
And that teaser trailer only shows the first 4 worlds, so not the last 4. So anyway, it's so much fun. And like I was trying to think, like if I was trying to design, not like it's story heavy or anything, but I was like, if I was designing a game, my game around the Mario Maker 2 tools, what it gives you, I was like, well, here's the setup. It's going to be a trap that Mario falls into and hits this switch. And when he hits the switch laid there by Bowser, it sends the whole world into the crazy Mario Maker stuff that we love, and how things just like are randomly in your levels that, are super challenging or don't make sense. And that is also the reason why you'll go through different game styles and stuff. And it's all about each world you go through, you have to make it right. Like you'll hit a switch at the end of that world and it resets that kingdom or whatever back to normal is the idea.
So cool.
So anyways, that's the premise of it. I was like, that's my Mario Maker game. But it's been so much fun. And like I've been trying to, like, a lot of research has been done and like studying other people's levels, what makes them great, what makes a level fun to play. So anyway, it's a labor of love. It's coming this holiday season, and it'll be fun. I'll probably be uploading more and more on it because like I want to like do videos on like here's World 1 and I'll play through it and then upload that, which World 1's already uploaded on my profile. And you can play the levels and like, but you know, so people will be able to play the game up until the official world release where they can play through all of it. But
okay.
Anyways, so
looks awesome.
Shameless plug for Super
on
Druber's
your own
World.
podcast. That's not a shameless plug.
Super Druber's World's coming. So anyway,
that's an announcement, baby.
That is, yeah. I've been sitting on that for a while. Actually, I cut that trailer a long time ago. Actually, and I was like, I don't know why I was like, I don't know why I've not released it yet. So, anyways, but anyway, this has been such a fun time. So I appreciate you guys coming on to talk. This has been super fun. We'll do it again sometime. And yeah. Final thoughts, anybody?
I almost don't want to play your levels now because I want to like wait till it's released. But now
that's okay too.
I feel like I talked to you. I keep telling you like I'm playing Mario Maker. It's my game right now. I've been playing that nonstop, and I'm like, oh man, now Drew's doing it too. Like, gotta catch up.
Yeah, it's been like I feel like there were many times where I was playing it when no one was playing it. I'd have people that like friends that I see more often here that they'd be like, I saw that you were like, your thing popped up on my screen. It's like playing Mario Maker 2, and it's like, what are you doing in Mario Maker 2? I'm like, oh, I'm playing, I'm making. But no, yeah. I think ever since they announced that world builder, it just ignited my passion for the game. When I probably would have not played it if they hadn't done that. Honestly,
that was a literal game changer.
Yes, yeah. So I have a bad feeling though that I'm going to complete the game, launch it, and then they'll announce Mario Maker 3, and I'll be like, no.
That would hurt.
If they do a Mario Maker 3, similar to Skyward Sword, I have a laundry list of requests for them because
Mario Maker 3D.
Now, if they do that, you might never hear from me again because I might die happy from just the announcement alone. It seems like that's like completely like there's no way they'll do a 3D Mario Maker, but like Game Builder Garage and Labo are already things now. Like, who knows, man?
Who knows? Yes. Well, great talk, guys. Thanks for being a part of this discussion. Yeah. One thing I got to work on is how to end these discussions because I'm not really sure how to end it. I don't have a screen or anything, but I'll just do it the old-fashioned way and say bye-bye. So thanks for being a part of it, guys. And
it was a
do
fun
you still
discussion.
say happy gaming, or was that retired?
I don't know if it's retired. I haven't set it as Druber Plays. I don't know.
This is Druber Plays, driving off.
Ooh, I've been saying signing out. I feel like that's just kind of generic. So you guys are witnessing behind the scenes action right now. Because we'll figure it out. But driving off, I like that.
Thank you. Actually, I kind of want to like line up my face with your icon here.
Nice. All right.
This is Druber Plays driving off.
Driving off. Cool. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.